think we're going live. All right, we're live. We did it. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I think we're on Twitter today for the first time. My name is Zach New. It's been a long time since I've been on here, so hopefully some of you remember me. I was given the task of managing this, which was a mistake. So hopefully this goes well. I don't quite know how to use banners, but we'll do our best. So I guess initially we're going to give some updates on what happened in the immigration world this week, and then jump into questions. Who wants to start?
I can start, Zach. Let me see where. Okay, I'm going to do an update on family reunification.
Before he put that banner in himself, I
So, as many people probably know, in 2018, the Trump administration instituted a zero tolerance policy, and it was to ramp up criminal prosecution of people that were caught entering the border. And during the period that this policy was in place, around 2,800 children were separated from their families at the border. And there was, according to a DHS report in June of this year, 2,100 of these children have still not been reunited with their families, despite this happening, this policy now being rescinded, and it having been years since it was put into place in the first place. And part of the reason why there are still these children that have not been reunited with their families is because during the time that this policy was in place, there was basically no system to keep track of the separations and keep track of which child belonged to which family. Some CBP facilities were just writing the names of children on whiteboards to keep track of them, and that was it. And there was no actual putting their information into a computer system or anything like that. And so it's been very difficult, just logistically, figuring out which of these children go where, and it's just a nightmare, basically. And on Sunday, Michelle Brain, she is the chair of the Family Reunification Task Force under the Biden administration. She reported that 52 families have been reunited. 52 families of the 1,500 families that were separated from each other under this policy. So it's great that we have this family reunification task force that was set up by the Biden administration, but it is clearly moving very, very slowly. And I'm amazed that we're still at this stage of only having 52 families. And I think there was an estimate that they had 30 more families that they were they believed that they would be able to reunite to reverse what was done to them. But that would put it at a total of 82 families of the 1,500 families that this was done to. So yes, we do have this new task force now, and yes, some minor progress is being made, but I am very disappointed at how slowly things are going. I know that it is a very difficult task that they have set out in front of them, given the fact that there was almost no record keeping during this time, and at this point, now many children are set up with sponsors, and those children are very young, and they think of those sponsors as their parents, and it's a tragic situation. And I just wanted to highlight that this was the update given by Michelle Brain on Sunday, and that progress is being made very, very, very slowly. And I hope that in the future, as these, so I think it does give an example of how immigration policies can have a very long-lasting tail. I mean, I'm sure many people that are watching this video right now are already aware of that possibility, but this is just one more example of how something that happened in 2018 is still having lingering effects to this day and will continue to have lingering effects on the families that were affected for years to come. And it is it's not exactly good news that I'm providing here, but I just wanted to discuss it this week because of the update that the Family Reunification Task Force provided. I think it was on 60 Minutes that they were interviewed. So there's a lot of work still to be done, and I hope that in the future we can just do stuff better to prevent this sort of thing from happening. But for now, they're thankfully at least doing some work to help fix the situation that these families were placed into. So that is my not great update, but that is that.
All right, and that's also the last banner that we're going to have. Jennifer, you want to go or should I go?
I can go. So I was just going to talk quickly about our individual federal mandamus cases. Just to remind people, we do those, and kind of give a timeline on the most recent one that I've had. So for this one, it was a K-1 fiance visa. The clients filed it was actually a spousal. It was an I-130 petition. I have another K-1 fiance, so I was getting a little confused. Okay, so an I-130 petition actually for a spouse of a permanent resident, which, as I'm sure a lot of people know, there haven't been a lot of interviews for spouses of permanent residents as family members of U.S. citizens have been prioritized with the reopening with COVID. And so these particular clients filed their I-130 in October of 2018, so about 3 years ago. And the petition was approved in November 2019, so about a year later. And since then, it's just been waiting. It was sent to the MVC at the beginning of 2020, and everything was complete before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit, everything shut down, and nothing was happening on the case for about a year. And then they hired us. We filed a mandamus. And for those that don't know, a mandamus is basically a federal lawsuit trying to compel the government to do their job, simply put. And so we filed that in June, and we just got word this week that the immigrant visa has been approved. We were able to get an expedited interview through this lawsuit, working with government counsel. And so I just wanted to give an update on that and let people know there is hope. There is action happening. And so if you have a case that has been delayed for a really long time, what we call unreasonably delayed, then feel free to reach out to us for a consultation.
Yeah, and I guess just to add on to that, I think the consultation is a big important part of this. I mean, these aren't magic bullets. I think it's easy to think, we just sue the government and we'll get an appeal, or we'll get an approval right away. But I think it's important that we first kind of review the facts of the case. And like this case here, I mean, a 3-year delay. It's pretty easy for us to say, what's going on? Why can't you just move this case forward? Conversely, like if it was filed last month, not a great case and probably not one that we would want to sue over. So definitely would want to talk to one of us or one of the other firms that do lawsuits. But it's very fact specific. If you've got increased hardship, if you've got a longer wait, if the government's been acting in a particularly unreasonable way, your case is going to be different than somebody who might have filed at the exact same time. So really important to talk to an attorney about these. But boy, do we love suing the government. So please feel free if you think that you might have a case to sue over, let us know. I'm happy to do it. And also, I did not do that banner. That I think was also Ryland.
That was you, Zach. That was
yeah, obviously we can't guarantee like quick timelines on government action in every case, but this one was a good ending, quick result.
Because what often happens is, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you please go ahead.
And I was just going to say this one too. Also, when you're talking about particular facts, the foreign national client is a highly trained healthcare professional who does kind of like pandemic related research, like epidemiology type stuff. And so we use that as a factor as well. And so that might have been really helpful in this case to show that, this is somebody that we need here in the United States doing research for us and work for us right now.
And that's right. Those good facts right there, they help where, at the very beginning when we're talking to government counsel, they're able to talk to their client who is, USCIS or the Department of State to push forward a case. And it's a lot easier for them to sell that to their clients if there's really strong facts. If we have a case that was filed yesterday and we say, hey, can you talk to USCIS about getting this approved? Probably USCIS is going to say, no, we're not. No. And so, even our ability to work with government counsel to try to get these things resolved early, it does depend on your facts a lot. But we love doing it. One of my favorite things to do. So let us know if you want us to do it for you. Anything else, Jennifer?
No, we just love sitting in the government and making them do their jobs. It was really fun. The first time I got to do the Jeff Sessions, back when Sessions was in, was like my favorite day ever. Suing him was great.
I tried to get him held in contempt once. Didn't work, but I tried. Anyways, I guess it's me, isn't it? I do have a banner. So if you guys have watched when I've been on here before, you probably have heard me rant about employer compliance, I-9s, things like that. It's something that I work with fairly frequently, and something that I think is just a horrible injustice in the way that it's kind of, implemented. Employers are required to verify the employment authorization of folks that are working for them, and ICE has got the ability to audit employers and kind of go after employers who are, employing folks who don't have work authorization. In my experience, they're not going after the big fish. They're not going after the people who are doing what's essentially human trafficking. They're, going after the people who just don't know better. Perhaps they don't have a robust HR department that's been trained on how to do I-9s and things like that. On the other side of, the employer worksite, type thing, we have ICE raids on workplaces. Those are pretty highly publicized usually. You'll hear about, 50 ICE officers raided this restaurant and arrested the, dishwasher and the line cook. And it's really, that's where all of the resources are going. But just this week, the Department of Homeland Security put out a new memo about what worksite enforcement should look like, and it's terrific news. I love the way that it's trying to push this program, and just some brief updates on that. So it starts off with some three fundamental principles about what Department of Homeland Security wants out of worksite enforcement. First is to reduce the demand for illegal employment by delivering more severe consequences to exploitative employers and their agents. So targeting the big fish, targeting the actual exploitative employers and not just the people who perhaps didn't know better. Targeting the people who are doing what is the essential human trafficking, giving bad pay, poor worksite conditions, threatening deportation if somebody's to report some sort of OSHA violation or something like that. Number two is to increase the willingness of workers to report violations of law by these exploitative employers and to cooperate in employment and labor standards investigations. So again, to try to say, rather than, hey, you're stuck working for this employer who is abusing you, basically, who is taking advantage of labor laws, who's not paying you what they're supposed to pay you, you have the opportunity to come forward, even if you're undocumented, even if you're working without authorization, to try to bring the big fish down, essentially. Make sure that the people who are exploiting workers are being held accountable for it. And the last guiding principle is to try to broaden and deepen connections between these various employment enforcement agencies. So like the National Labor Relations Board, for example, the Department of Labor, all these agencies that really work on making work sites safe, making employers and employees behave properly. trying to deepen that connection and make sure that all these workers are protected despite perhaps not having the right document to be employed in the United States. And it's just a reality that we have 11 million folks who are in the United States without documentation. So there are 11 million folks who are potentially being employed, and we don't want 11 million people to be just exploited in the shadow economy. So I think this is great. It ends with some kind of broad principles, broad guidance that doesn't necessarily say you have to do this or that, besides one, which is stop worksite enforcement altogether right now. So we're not going to be seeing these mass raids like we have in the last 4 years. In the near future, at least, until I suppose some more clear guidance is issued. Prosecutorial discretion is also kind of inherent in this, so they're making sure that as ICE is doing whatever type of worksite enforcement they're able to do under this this new policy memo, they're still I guess understanding that prosecutorial discretion is a part of this this system, and there's the new priorities that should be followed. So yeah, overall, it's terrific news. I am very happy to see it, and I think it's going to bring about some very good change for employers and employees. And I suppose with that, we'll move to the couple of questions we have. There are certainly not many today. All right, so there's no banner's gone. All right, so the first one. So in the Go case, if the government appeals, how many times it will take to schedule a new hearing and have a new decision? Either of you?
I don't know this, Zach. Do you know this?
So basically, when you take something on appeal, a lot of it is just on paper. There's sometimes hearings. It's not always required that there's oral argument, but so essentially, I guess it's one or none is the answer to how many hearings there will be. It's a lot of this is what's wrong about the decision below, and these are the things that need to be changed, and this is the legal reason why. The rules of appellate procedure are pretty different from the rules of just practicing in front of the district court, like a lot of you see for things like the Gomez case, for the Go case, for really a lot of these big cases that we've been bringing. Those are in front of the district court, and we could have several hearings. We can have status reports. We can have a lot of engagement with the judge. On the appeals side of things, it's a lot more. What's the law? What was this a proper implementation of the law? Were mistakes made? And there are very, I guess, deferential standards of review. So it can take some time. As I think everybody has seen, federal court is not the fastest thing in the world. It's not known for getting quick decisions, and courts of appeals are kind of similar. It takes a while to get a decision, and then after that, once they have that decision, the typical remedy is to send it back down to the district court to issue a new order in compliance with what the Court of Appeals has said. So it could be some time, I guess, is the answer there. Next one. Finally got an interview date. Notification on adjustment of status just as a timeline. They received it on May 30th and saw it change on the website September 30th and waiting on the letter. What came before EAD has any movement? So first off, congratulations. Second off, I'm not surprised about the EAD. That has been just unbelievably delayed. Just horribly delayed. We see, we saw in that Chakrabarty hearing where Ashley Tabador said that they're prioritizing EADs and they make sure that everybody has employment authorization, so there's no harm to people. But that's obviously not true, and you are seeing it right there. There's a ton of folks who are kind of waiting for their employment authorization, even as everything else moves forward. I have a lot of folks who are applying for permanent residency, and they're typically supposed to get a work authorization to hold them over until they get their green card, but so many people are getting their green cards before the work authorization is even adjudicated. I don't know if Rylan and Jennifer, if you guys have similar experiences. That's not surprising to me that the EAD has not really moved, but congratulations on the interview date for your adjustment of status.
Yeah, congrats.
Okay, nothing else to add there. Well, the last comment I have, I mean, this is not exactly the most well-trafficked. I come back to Facebook Live and I get 3 comments. But anyways, hi, Aziz.
Zach, I think this one's for me specifically. Aziz, he says, hi, guys. Hi, Aziz. Very nice seeing you. And thanks for reaching out to me. So.
All right, well, I don't have any other questions. So somebody ask some really compelling question, please, because it's been like 20 minutes. This is the first time on Twitter and we're not getting anything. I mean, I guess if there's nothing else, you guys must just be really digesting our updates that we're given. One more. All right, well, thank you. Our pleasure. Yeah, I guess if there's no questions, I know there's another call going on at this exact same time for one of the lawsuits, so not super surprising, I suppose. But thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I suppose we'll see you next week.
Thanks. All right, bye.
Bye.